Just this week, I had an opportunity to do an interview with a pastor. He comes out of a church in Nashville. His name's Tyler Feller. And I'll tell you how I got to know Tyler was simply because a week ago this past Friday night, I got a text at 10:45 at night from the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson. And Mike shared with me in that text that there was an opportunity that this guy was coming to Capitol Hill, and he had asked the Speaker for a few folks that he might interview and talk to about something that they were doing called the Nehemiah Alliance. And the Nehemiah Alliance was fascinating. In fact, look, I don't ever tell you to pull out your phones, and I prefer you not to be looking at your phones. But if you do happen to have your phones with you right now this morning, I would encourage you to take them out. And we're going to put a website or a link on the screen. You can jot it down. They also going to put a QR code. Man, our people in our media are so smart and so sharp. I just told them I want a link, and they come up with a QR code. And but you can take a picture of that. And that'll take you to it. But let me tell you what they're doing and what I found out about this. They are calling out believers in this Nehemiah Alliance for a 52-day initiative. Many of you know how important the book of Nehemiah is to me and how God used Nehemiah 2, 17 and 18 in my life back in 2011 and 2012. To begin to awaken me to things that needed to happen in our nation and how believers needed to step up. And in the midst of all of that, Nehemiah 2, 17 and 18, God helped me recognize that we needed to help people recognize the emergency. They needed to rely upon God's power, and ultimately that we needed to be relentless in our efforts and what we were willing to do. So when Speaker Johnson said, will you meet with this guy about the Nehemiah Alliance? I said, I'll be glad to. And so I met with him, did an interview with him, and he shared with me 3 simple things that they are mobilizing Christians across America to do. Beginning on sundown, September 10th, which that's a pretty important day. Sundown, September 10th, will be leading into the 25th anniversary of 9/11, by the way. 25th anniversary on 9/11. But from sundown September 10th until sundown November 1st, that's 52 days. November 1st is All Saints' Day. That's also the Sunday before perhaps the most important midterm elections in the history of our country are coming up on November 3rd. But in those 52 days, they are seeking to bring together believers that will do 3 things. Number 1, pray. And they've actually got a specific prayer that they are asking believers. You can pray anything. Obviously, as you meet with God, you pour out your heart. But for a sense of unity of believers across this nation, they have actually crafted a prayer that they're wanting believers to do every morning for those 52 days. So pray every morning for those 52 days. Number 2, they're asking that you fast for 3 of those 52 days. 1 at the front end, 1 at the back end, and then they're actually asking states to take one of those other days in that 52-day period, where like everybody in North Carolina on that particular day will be asked to fast for that one day. And then third, they're asking you to be a gatekeeper. Be a gatekeeper in front of your own house. That's what Nehemiah did, as you recall. They rebuilt that wall by everybody taking care and building the wall behind them. So that means that you begin to engage and pray for and engage your family, in your home, your neighbors, in your community, your school, where your children attend, your churches, where you attend, and your state, and then ultimately your nation. And as we become gatekeepers and engage people in what is happening, this will hopefully spread. Look, you've heard me say for a lot of years that I ultimately am convinced that we're not going to see our nation turn around until we see another spiritual awakening in the life of this country. There has got to be a spiritual awakening. And as I talked to Tyler and as I listened to him this past week, I am convinced that this is just one aspect. There's a number of great things that could be there. You say, well, Mark, why are we doing this one? Because this is one that moved my heart, and I just felt like it was important for me to let you know of this opportunity. You go to that website, www.na52.org. You could have clicked on it on the QR code if it worked. And then you go there and you just sign up. You sign up to be a part of this movement. And I told Tyler, I said, look, I'm not only speaking to you as a member of Congress, I'm also speaking to you as a pastor. And I said, I love what you're doing, and I'm going to tell my people about it, because I would love for our church to get engaged in praying for those 52 days. Look, it had been hundreds of years from the time Nebuchadnezzar took down those walls of Jerusalem. And with the walls down, you know it, thieves and foreign invaders came in and out and raped and pillaged the land. The walls had to be rebuilt. Period. But it wasn't until they recognized the emergency and really relied upon God. See, I tell you, these are the most important midterms coming up in November, perhaps, of any in our history. But here's the thing. If we'll get our hearts right before God, September 10th to November 1st, we'll vote the right way on November 3rd. And God will spare this nation. And we will get where we need to be. But it begins with a spiritual foundation. And it begins with God moving and God working.